You ready?
Hey, what's going on YouTube land? It's your boy TJ and welcome to my YouTube channel, Wrestling Nostalgia, where I give my reviews of WWE shows and PLE events. And today we are going to be reviewing NXT April 2nd, 2024. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Our opener match is a triple threat tag team match. And this match is going to determine who's going to face the NXT tag team champions at Stand and Deliver. So it is LWO, Exxon, and Frazier versus the Good Brothers. They had a pretty standard back and forth match. It is a triple threat tag team match. Every tag team for themselves, right? So it was a pretty good opener, to be honest with you. Wasn't really expecting too much from this match. But make a long story short, Exxon and Frazier won. He hits his 450 splash, 1, 2, 3. They are the number one contenders, and they're going on to face Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin for the NXT Tag Team Championships. In this next segment, it is Lexis King, and basically he's throwing shots at Von Wagner, and he says that everyone is not cut out for this business, which he doesn't understand why he wants another shot at him when he can't even take care of himself. And for the past couple of months or upwards to a year, Mr. Stone had took care of him for quite a while now, and he couldn't even put one foot over the other. He's going to beat him in the middle of the ring again tonight. This next segment, Dragunov is going to his car, I guess, to meet up with Tony and the family for dinner. And he has a boot on his car. This is when his henchman comes and pulls up and says that, hey, get in the car, you're going to come with us. And he, reluctantly agrees. And this is when he gets in his car. I'm going to be honest with you. I cannot wait until this feud ends. It is very hard to watch. And I am over this whole Tony and Dragunov making it a thing. I cannot wait till their rivalries in the rear view and forgotten about. And I hope they do not drag this out, because this fell flat, which is why, if you notice, they only had one segment in the ring, and it was trash. So, moving on. In this next matchup, it is Fallon Henley versus JCJ. They had a pretty standard back and forth match. The way they started off, it was so funny to me, because they locked up and then they were like going down into the ground trying to match each other's energy, and they just rolling in the ring, and then they roll on both sides of the ring. I'm like, what are y'all doing? That was just so funny to me. But JCJ and her cronies trying to beat up on Fallon's homegirls outside of the ring. So she winds up coming outside of the ring and helping out her friends, but to her demise, she winds up getting back in the ring after helping them and beating up on JCJ's homegirls. She wound up getting in the ring and wound up getting hit with a running knee, 1, 2, 3. She picks up the victory. She cuts a promo and says that her and Thea Hale were never friends. She was just using them to get ahead and get the attraction back on her and her spotlight and this, that, and the third. So now at Stand and Deliver, Ava made a match that it's going to be a 6-woman tag team match, and these women are all going to fight in the middle of the ring. This matchup is Von Wagner versus Lexis King. They had a pretty decent match. It was crazy because the way Von Wagner started off, he already just like tackled him and just started wailing on him. And then for a good majority of the match, Lexis King, Von Wagner was hitting him for a minute. But Lexis King, he kind of reminds me of like Chris Jericho. He's very savvy in that ring. Like I said, he always reminds me of Chris Jericho to me. And the way that he wrestles, he even reminds me of Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho is one of my favorite wrestlers too, by the way. They were having a back and forth match. So they were outside of the ring, powerbombing through the table. It does not work. He winds up DDTing him on the floor. He gets back in the ring. Lexis winds up getting back in the ring, and at the last second, Von Wagner gets in the ring as well before the count of 10. He hits his correlation right when he gets into the ring, he, hooks him up, and then bam, it looks like a swinging neck breaker to me. 1, 2, 3, he picks up the victory. In this next segment, it is Carmelo Hayes and Ava, the GM of NXT, of course. So she winds up telling him that it is extra security tonight, just in case everything goes awry, which of course it does. Like all these face-to-face encounters does that. So he says, have your boys ready because mine is going to be on go. And I was like, well, I hope they are for the money you're paying them. In this next segment, it is Ariana Grace and Ren Sinclair. Ariana Grace bought these pageant dresses for Gigi Dolan to wear. And this is when she said, oh, I'm teaching her elegance and all this other good stuff. So this is when Ren says that Gigi is good the way that she is. And I thought pageants were to be yourself and not try to fit in a typical beauty standard. So this is when Ariana says, oh, what are you trying to suggest, that I'm trying to change her for the worse? She said, kind of. So this is when she says that she is disgusted and she is appalled of her words, and they are fighting words, and these dresses are going to have to wait until later. So I guess that's her way of challenging her to a match. In this next match, it is Cameron versus Loda Vice. They actually had a pretty decent but kind of relatively short match. And also Cameron brought Natalya, which they both have like that Canadian connection, both from Canada. So they had a pretty standard back and forth match. And Lola winds up hitting a reverse elbow onto Cameron. And then she has the nerve to sit up there and hit a sharpshooter submission hold in front of Natalya and faced her while she did it and made Cameron tap out. In this next segment, it is a talking portion with Metaphor, and their guests are La Valkyria and Roxanne Perez. They first introduce Roxanne Perez and then La Valkyria, and it looks like they're about to get into fisticuffs until Lash Legend said, calm down, go ahead and sit down, ladies. So this is when Roxanne Perez says that NXT Stand and Deliver, she finally gets back her NXT Women's Championship that she never lost. So this is when Laura says, oh my goodness, can you shut up about a championship that you never lost? You did lose. Like you lost last year at Stand and Deliver because Indy Hartwell was a little bit faster going up the ladder. But you don't take blame for that. Just like at Vengeance Day when you lost again. But I guess you blame Lola Vice, right? So do I need to continue? It was new and unexpected, just like your Women's Championship win, right? So this is when she said, stop talking like you know me. She said, do you know how it feels to lose a Women's Championship? Well, you will this Saturday, and I'm going to make sure of that. And we'll see how your moral compass fares when I beat you. La Valkyria says that at NXT, it's going to be a fight. And the big difference between me and you is that you bitch. And at NXT, you're going to have a whole lot about when I beat you at NXT Stand and Deliver. So Roxanne stands up and says, I have a whole lot of anger and aggression to get out, and I'm going to take it all out on you. So that's when she slaps her. And then La Valkyria retaliates and puts her through the table. This rivalry kind of kicked in high gear a little bit, so I'm a little bit more invested into this. I'm definitely more invested into this match versus the men's NXT championship. In this next segment, it is Oba, and he says that at Stand and Deliver, he's going to show Dijak and Josh Briggs why he's the North American champion. So he has a match next against Joe Gracie. This psychopathic guy. Oh my goodness, that man scares the heebie-jeebies out of me. Anywho, before the match even begins, Shawn Spears attacks Joe Gracie with the chair, and he just, BAM! Hits him. And he says, yeah, you thought it was funny last week, didn't you? And I'm like, well, you should have just minded your business, Joe Gracie, but you just had to be this crazy, deranged character. So Oba winds up going outside of the ring and getting Joe back into the ring, and he lets Shawn Spears know, hey, he belonged to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So after he gets him back in the ring, the referee asks him, can he continue the match? And he says yes. So first mistake of his life. He winds up, fighting back, and he get a little flurry in. But of course, Oba, big guy, he muscling him around the ring and beating him down. and everything like that. He had a little glimpse of hope of trying to fight back, but it to no avail. He ends up getting beat down, and then he does this little thing where he just throws his opponent across the ring, and that was it. The referee, throw the X up, and that was the end of the match. So he wins by a forfeit. Oba is definitely not here to play. I love me some Oba, I'm going to be honest. He looks like a star, and it's just a matter of time before he wins the NXT World Championship. In this next segment, it is Tatum and La Valkyria. So basically, Tatum doesn't really like the new side of Lyra that she's showing, and she says that this is not her, and she says, look, I don't have time for this, and maybe you're right, maybe this isn't me, but I'm going to do what it takes to make sure that Roxanne does not become NXT Women's Champion come Stand and Deliver. In this next match, it is Ren Sinclair versus Ariana Grace. They had a pretty standard back and forth match. Towards the end of the match, Ariana, for her to be this graceful, no pun intended, person and, pageant queen and all this, she sure does love to cheat a lot, doesn't she? She winds up rolling up Ren Sinclair towards the end of the match, and she is towards the ropes, and as the referee's counting down and only paying attention to Ren's shoulders on the mat, he doesn't pay attention to the fact that she's holding the ropes. 1, 2, 3. She wins this match. And here we go with this lackluster segment. Yes, you guys, it is Dragunov and Tony D'Angelo. So he winds up going to the hideout or wherever venue that they're at. Looks like a ran down warehouse. So Tony D'Angelo says thank you for coming to dinner. Dragunov says that he is impressed with the mind games and the limps and bounds that he's willing to go to try to win the NXT Championship. Tony says that at Stand and Deliver, that his championship reign is going to end. And this is when Dragunov says, many men have said this before you and many men have fallen. And this is when Dragunov says that nothing's going to stop him from leaving as NXT World Champion. This is when Tony grabs the injured fingers of Dragunov. I can take you out at any time, but I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to do it in front of the world, and I'm going to take your NXT World Championship. And remember, this is business, not personal. I'm like, okay. Next! In this next match, it is Saruka versus Blair Davenport. They had a really good match, actually. I love that one move that Saruka does when she does the top rope DDT. Like, she jumps off the top rope and onto her opponent and then into a DDT. That was gnarly. I love that move. So they had a pretty decent match, and throughout the match, Blair Davenport was working on the injured leg. At the end of the match, this is when Blair looks like she was going to hit her little move where she grabs the legs and do the knees, but Saruka already seen it coming. She rolls her up, 1, 2, 3. She wins this match. I actually kind of starting to like Saruka. I didn't really know about her or know a whole lot. I didn't expect too much, but she's really phenomenal in that ring, and I'm excited to see a little bit more from her. In this next segment, it is Ava, and she says there's a pretty stacked card on NXT Stand and Deliver. So all of a sudden, this psycho, freaking Joe Gracie, gets up and says, I'm okay. I want a match with Sean Spears at Stand and Deliver. Yes, I want it. And I'm like, where did you even come from? Like, should you be looking your wounds somewhere? You sitting there asking for a match, and you need to be sitting there in the hospital bed after that beatdown you got from Oba. You got beat so much you just stupid.
This bitch got beat up so much she just stupid.
Yo, that man is Mick Foley for real. Let's go ahead and move on. And finally, we get to the main event. It is Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes in a face-off. And you guys already know how these face-offs go. So they come out, and Trick says, that at Stand and Deliver, they're going to be the first two black men to headline at Stand and Deliver. I am really happy about this, and it's definitely representation. I'm so happy for these two. They have worked hard throughout the year to make this rivalry a thing, and it is definitely top tier, cut above the rest, for sure. Trick Williams says that he can't all be that excited because of the fact that it has to be like this. He has to go to war with his brother, Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo says that he came a long way since the SmackDown Dark match, and this is when Trick intervenes and says that he was very, very nervous and he didn't know that he belonged, that Carmelo was there every step of the way. This is when Melo says that, yeah, until you ruined it. And then Trick says, no, you ruined it. He said, yeah, I ruined it through the eyes of a hero, right? Carmelo Hayes says that, think of these championships as girlfriends. You went behind my back and went after the NXT championship instead of the North American championship, which we agreed upon. Trick says that he came to Carmelo Hayes as a man and he told him that he wanted to strike out on his own, and he says that he was okay with it. And Carmelo says that he was okay with it, but you started to believe your own hype, and then you allowed the fans to get in your head and get beside yourself. And you're going to find out at NXT Stand and Deliver that you just don't compare to me, and you're going to take a back seat. This is when Trick says his backseat taking days are over. Carmelo says that you've been hot for 6 months, I've been hot for 3 years. And at Stand and Deliver, you're going to find out that I'm him. And also, if you don't remember nothing else, remember this. These fans will be behind you one day. And as soon as when the next guy come around, they'll switch like Nintendo. Yeah, quote me. I was like, okay, well, that was a good one. And I hate to say it, Carmelo not telling no lies with that one. Y'all see how they back and forth with The Rock. They be cheering him and all that stuff. And as soon as himself come, I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't y'all just on him? Wasn't you just on his body? Like, Trick says that, oh, now I get it. You're just jealous because everybody rocking with me and not you. So this is when Carmelo says, I don't care what these people think or how much support and love you get from them. Remember, they not going to be in the ring with me. You are. You're the one that's going to have to find out why Melo don't never miss. So this is when Trick says, everybody going to be yelling, whoop that Trick, and I'm going to whoop you in the ring. So this is when he said, oh yeah, do it. So they ended up beating up on the security and the referees and the officials, everybody within arm's reach. So this is when they finally, get into fisticuffs and they just going at it. So then more people and even wrestlers got in the ring to try to separate them. They just beating up on them, and then they wind up right back in the fisticuffs and fighting. The night ended with Trick and Carmelo and all the other male members of the NXT roster in the ring brawling. This was a great way to end NXT. I actually did enjoy this NXT. Let me know, like, share, and subscribe. How did you feel about NXT last night? I actually enjoyed it. There was certain segments that was like, and then, it was other segments I was like, okay, they doing their thing over here. And like always, help me grow my channel. Like, share, and subscribe. And peace. TJ, I'm out.